Yo, Marcus, low budget wisdom. Is it okay to be friends with your ex? Yeah, this is a question that a lot of people have been, confused about their whole lives, or maybe they're just, starting out from a new breakup, and they might be wondering, is it okay to be friends with my ex? Well, that really depends. The answer is yes and no at the same time. Now, what do I mean by that? No, it's not okay to be friends with your ex if you're doing it for the wrong intentions. Now, what do I mean by wrong intentions? These kind of questions you have to ask yourself, right? If your only intention of being friends with your ex is because now a majority, let's say 90% mainstream people, they have intentions of being friends with their ex because yeah, this guy can buy me stuff. I may need him to buy me stuff to provide me with a sense of security if things don't work out when I'm alone, if I feel lonely, and so the girls might use the boys for certain purposes, materialistic purposes, and for the guys, I want to stay friends with my ex because who knows? Maybe I feel lonely in the future, just in case. I may need sex, right? I may need to have someone to sleep with. I may need some of that addictive feminine energy that powers my life. I have lust in my mind. I won't know if I'll be able to find someone else to have sex with. And you see, it's all very materialistic, base level consciousness kind of thing. The intention is based upon fear. So no, that's not a good reason to become friends with your ex. Another thing, yeah, other than wanting this kind of sense of security and lust based intentions for staying friends with your ex, another reason why you should not stay friends with your ex is because this is some deeper level stuff, right? Why you wouldn't want to be friends with your ex is because this person will keep on bringing up feelings and things, traumas and shadows that you have not fully transcended or integrated back into your own psyche yet, into your own awareness yet. If you have not fully integrated the shadows that came with this relationship, with this particular woman or man, then no, you cannot be friends with them because every time you see them, you are only bringing suffering to yourself. The point is, what I'm trying to say is, every time you are with this person as friends, but you have not integrated, it has to be both people, right? It has to be both people who are fully integrated, who have gone through the shadow work, who have, increased their level of consciousness. I'll talk about increasing level of consciousness in a second. I'll talk about that. I'll touch on that. But if both people have not fully, done the work, take up the responsibility and face their fears, whatever stuff that came up when both of these people were together before they broke up, then being together again is just going to cause a lot of suffering for both parties, right? Even though if one person has fully healed from their relationship traumas and whatever shadow work and karmic lessons that need to be learned, if one person is healed and the other person is not yet healed and they come together, this person is going to bring down this person and this person would feel it. and they will become incompatible. So no, it is not a good idea to be friends or stay in contact with your ex if if both parties have not simultaneously conquered their fears around the theme, the karmic lesson that this particular relationship dynamic has brought up. So if you if there are still stuff that you haven't really cleared out from your system and integrated back into your own soul, your energetic frequency, and your consciousness, and your psyche, whatever you want to call that, then both parties are going to suffer if they come into contact again, because it will keep on reminding you. I mean, it could be for a greater purpose. Maybe you have to go through that suffering again so that you can see more clearly what needs to be learned. But on a general sense, on the mainstream sense, for the majority of people, it is not a good idea. It is best to cut off all contact, because if you have not finished the business of integrating anything that relationship has brought up in you, if and this is not about the other person, it is about ourselves, right? Then if both of you guys come together again, you and the other person is going to keep on looping, and the things that need to be dealt with, you will keep on being reminded by that, just by being in the vicinity of this other person, just like by being around this person, and interacting with this person. Now, we can't always you know cut ourselves off entirely from this person, right? It could be that both parties, families, are working in a business together, or it may be your colleague, or your schoolmate, or you know then you are really pushed to really have to look at these wounds that came from this relationship when you guys broke up, and whatever problems that arise, you are really forced into a position where you gotta look at it. You have no other choice but to face that fear, right? Okay, so here's another reason. Third reason, right? Consciousness level. If one party increases their level of consciousness, the level of their frequency, the energetic vibration, if they increase their state of being, level of awareness, in a way that is much faster than this other person, and if that is the real reason that this breakup came about, that's the real reason that caused this breakup to happen in the first place, then similarly, coming back together after you guys have broken up, you're basically just forcing oil and water to mix, and it doesn't mix. Oil and water cannot mix, because they are now a different state. They hold different structures now, right? No matter how hard you try, they will always try. Oil and water will always try to separate itself. Similarly, if your consciousness level, or your ex-partner's consciousness level has improved too significantly, too significantly high, right? The gap is too significantly wide, you're naturally going to repel each other, because of your different perspectives of life, your different world views, your different things that you want to focus on, different perceptions of experiences and events and whatnot that is happening around life. It's not you guys just not compatible anymore. You guys just can't mix anymore. It's nothing personal. It's just different people with different energy levels. They are now, you know, going on to different karmic lessons, right? You're going to attract different things and situations into your life, right? So, no, if both of your conscious levels are too significantly wide, the gap is too big. But here's another thing why it would work. Yes, exes can still come back together and be friends, stay friends, or even maybe later in life come together and rekindle the relationship. That happens, not always, not for everyone. It takes a lot of work on both parts, on both parties, on both persons' ends. It takes a lot of work to raise their level of consciousness, to raise their frequency and vibration, to be able to match each other's development, right? If it can work, you should be friends. And this is not something we choose to do. This is not something that we think that we have, conscious decision making. We have conscious choice. We can consciously make the choice to stay friends with an ex and not cut all contact. And once the karmic relationship is ended, the lessons that need to be brought up has been brought up. What needs to be done has been done, right? If after all that and you guys are still growing, with time maybe you guys meet together again. So yes, if both people do the work, integrate their shadows into their psyche, raise their vibrations, cut off debaucherous bad habits from their lifestyle, then yeah, it may work. It may work if both are increasing their conscious levels and then they come back to form a relationship again as friends, and maybe it may develop into something more in the future. Well, who knows? Because the initial part of the karmic sufferings and the karmic lessons and the karmic bonding, those are all burned up, man. What is needed at that moment, the lessons and all that, both parties were able to transcend those lessons and then live their lives away from each other without any contact, without any forms of wanting anything materialistic from each other. The woman, a sense of security and love and a sense of getting, taken care of. And the guy lust, female touch, female energy, and lust and sex and all those things, right? A sense of being a protector, right? If they can do that naturally and authentically, not a lot of people are authentically honest with themselves, right? You got to be honest with yourself. Do some introspection, meditate, do some journaling, write down what you feel, why you're feeling these things, write them down, manifest them, manifest your thoughts onto a piece of paper. So if both parties are able to settle their traumas and pick up the responsibility of changing and improving parts of themselves and integrating into their psyche the shadows, like Jung said, then they may have the choice. And when I mean choice, you would need the help of the universal forces. If you are destined to be coming back together, then you will come back together. You cannot run away from destiny. There is some leeway into what we can decide to do. We do have, I believe, some form of free will in between two canon events that must happen in our lives, like inflection or turning points in our lives. In between those two major event points, destiny points, okay, there is some leeway. So in that leeway, if both parties are able and they are inspired by universal force and the life force within themselves to integrate and solve all these problems, then when they come back together as friends to form a dynamic of relationship, friendship, or whatever that may happen in the future, then they may be able to make it work again. Then, yes, exes can be friends or even more. But if you have the thought, if you're keeping this thought in the back of your mind, hoping that, yes, I'm done with my work, just let me see my ex again, you gotta ask yourself, what is your intention? Is it because you are filled with lust? You want that physical connection because you feel lonely? Is it a selfish thing? Or you want to get back with your ex because he provided you a sense of security? He buys you a lot of materialistic things that he brings you to travel. If that is your intention, then no, you should work on yourself. Now, it may be a hard pill to swallow, and sometimes hard truths hurt. I know, I understand, but I have to say it because sometimes medicine is bitter. The better the medicine, the more bitter it is. Sometimes don't shoot the messenger. I'm trying to give some kind of authentic message as authentically as am able to, right? Don't shoot the messenger. So if if you think that you have done the work and you are ready to message your ex again and all that, despite the karmic lessons and all that, despite the whole thing is supposed to be finished, like like if you have graduated from high school, you're on to the next stage of life. Why do you want to go back to high school? You see, why are you going back to high school? The lessons I learned is that phase is over. What is your intention of going back to high school? So your ex is some lesson in the past. And if you still keep on focusing on, when am I gonna meet him or her again in the future? I hope we cross paths again. Then you have not let go. Then you have not learned your lessons. Then you have not fully integrated the shadows and worked on the shadows that you needed to work on. That is a good sign. Doing some introspection, really be authentically honest with yourself, because you cannot lie to yourself. We can never lie to ourselves. We know our own truths. We can't run away from ourselves. You can run away from other people, but not yourself. So do some introspection, really meditate on this. Take some time in nature, alone, somewhere in your room or something. Sit down quietly without the noise and distractions of everyday modern life, and just ask yourself, what is your intention of wanting to get back with your ex? If you still feel that neediness, you're suffering, man. I've been there. I understand. You're suffering. But from suffering and pain, that is sometimes the best way to learn. The universe doesn't discriminate. If you have to, feel the pain, then you gotta feel the pain. It has to come organically, You can't force things to happen. You can't force healing to happen. Sometimes the best thing to do is to surrender to the universal life force, surrender to God, surrender to that higher power, and feel those emotions, really surrender and accept. Acceptance is the first step to healing. We can't solve our problems from the level of the mind. We can't solve problems that are created on the level of the mind using solutions from the level of the mind. So we need help. We gotta surrender. All right. 20 minutes. All right. I'll see you guys in the next one. Ciao. Have a good one.